Hello, Assalamu alaikum. I'm really pleased that you could join me today. I'm Anisa Abdullah, an antenatal educator and doula, and I'm also the founder of Inherent Birth. And I'm glad you could join us for this discussion today. So today's topic is birth, how to trust the process. So you're probably here because you might be somebody who is questioning birth. You might even believe in birth, but you want to know a little bit more about why women find it difficult to get into the whole idea of trusting the process of birth. Or you might have clients that you'd like to support better and help them to know how to get to a point where they can trust the process of birth a bit more. So in not trusting the process, it might be fair to assume that there might be some fear surrounding birth and the whole process. And what I want to do today is just sort of have a little look at the idea of why there might be mistrust or fear around birth, and then a couple of maybe solutions on how we can get to a point where we are believing in birth again. So there are a couple of reasons why I think as a society there's like this culture of fear surrounding birth. It's sort of become the norm to have some sort of fear or to show dread or disdain towards birth, or, oh my gosh, it's so awful. And, you know, to have that kind of narrative playing. To say anything different is kind of like you're going against the grain, and it sort of takes a lot of courage to be able to say something like that, that you enjoy your birth, like I've enjoyed some of my births. And to say something like that, you're almost an anomaly. So I think we've kind of gotten to this point because the stories that we hear about birth are mostly horrific. They're mostly full of trauma. They're full of dissatisfaction. They're full of women who don't feel like they gave birth. They don't feel like they had a part in their birth. They felt like it was something that happened to them, something that they weren't necessarily even prepared for. So I think there's almost this grieving sometimes of the whole process. Maybe the mum might have even had an idea as to how she wanted her birth to go, and it might not have gone like that. So there is this whole culture of fear and trauma surrounding birth at the moment. Also the media. Now, when we see like somebody giving birth on television or in the movies, it's horrific. The women are screaming. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with screaming if that's what you want to do. But I mean, there's this lack of, there's this sort of sensationalized idea of horror when it comes to birth. It's almost, synonymous with some kind of horror experience. Now imagine somebody who's never given birth or someone who's pregnant watching an online version of what it is to give birth, online or on television version of giving birth. I think it'd be quite scary. And as somebody who, has been pregnant in this modern age where, you do see these types of things around, it is kind of scary to watch sometimes. Also, I think there's fear around birth because of bad experience. Well, I don't really like the word bad, but a negative association with past experiences. Maybe the doctor or the midwife or your partner even, or even yourself, you didn't feel like you were as you wanted to present yourself during your birth, or your partner didn't show up, or your support partner didn't show up for you the way you might have wanted your support to show up for you. Your doctor might have been very forceful or maybe dismissive or didn't really take into consideration your requests. So there are a whole range of reasons why we've got this sort of depressing sort of theme around birth, this depressing narrative around birth. But it's not necessarily something that's either helpful or healthy, because subhanallah, birth is one of the most powerful, moving, liberating, invigorating processes that can happen during a woman's life. And it's one of the most transformational periods of a woman's life. If you're able to really tune into the process and really get yourself prepared as much as you can prepare for birth, and then go through the process and come through the other side, you can come through a changed person. It can literally be leverage for change, leverage for elevation. So I guess that's kind of a big incentive towards changing the narrative around birth for women. You know, having something different out there, something different to hold on to, not just fear, but something to look forward to, something to be proud of, something as a tool for transformation. I think that will literally change the game for a lot of women, a lot of people. Because many times in our lives, we don't really take time to embrace the changes that come towards us, you know, with open arms, knowing that it might be a painful process that might take us to, you know, something deeper within us, you know, something enabling us to dig deeper into ourselves and dig deeper for anything it is that we're trying to achieve. For example, if we've, you know, got you know, a career that we want to go into, and we know that we need to study hard and take all these exams, it's a hard slog to get through all of that. But if you know that there's something at the end of it, it makes it worthwhile. Like, you will do it, you'll go through it, you'll go through that grit and that pain to get to the beautiful prize at the end, which is whatever it is you had your hope set on. It's the same thing for pregnancy and birth. It's, you know, it can be a tough slug. It can be, you know, take you to your limits and then beyond. And then once you sort of get through that process, there's definitely an awakening moment on the other side of it. So I want to just sort of touch on a couple of points as to how we can actually see birth in a way that's not so scary. And I've sort of come up with 3 points. They kind of go hand in hand. The first one being seeing birth as an act of worship, which it is. Everything we do is an act of worship. And understanding that birth as well, pregnancy and birth and motherhood and everything related to it, is an act of worship. It's an act of ibadah. And it all begins with our intentions. Now you might be thinking, how on earth can it be an act of worship? I'll kind of give you a similitude. So there are many people, myself included, who were scared of making Hajj. Now, Hajj is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, to make Hajj. But it's kind of a daunting thought to be in, you know, such a busy place, so many people, lots of germs, and, you know, it can be quite tough, quite rough, and very physically taxing to go through Hajj. And there are quite a few people who are actually scared of the process. But taking time to learn about Hajj, to learn about the different rituals, to learn about the benefits that come from it, to learn about the reward that you get from it, sort of diminishes that fear. It kind of takes away from that fear. It takes the power away from the fear. Learning about the experience takes away the fear. So I sort of bring that same idea into pregnancy and birth. Learning about pregnancy and learning about birth actually take the power away from fear and gives it back to you. So now you're in control of what you can put into your birth. You're in control of what you are contributing to your pregnancy. Therefore, you have less space for fear. So my number 1 point would be learn. Understand that it's an act of worship. And with every act of worship, you need to learn about it before you can embark upon it. So learn about pregnancy, learn about all of the things that you can do to help support yourself, to help support your baby, to help support your psychology, your mind frame, your mindset, to get you through it in one piece. And it will take away from the power that fear has over you, inshallah. The number 2 point that I have is to understand that it's a physiological process. What's a physiological process? Well, a physiological process is also something like breathing or having a period or whatever other involuntary action that your body sort of goes through. you don't have to think about it. It's not a conscious thing. In fact, being in a state where your conscious mind is at rest when you are in labor and you're birthing actually helps the process. So understanding that you're not the one in control. And as we know, Allah is the one that's in control of everything. So really understanding that, and understanding that, you know, we've done our part, we've eaten as best as we could have, we've done our exercise and our affirmations and cleared out toxicity and negativity and whatever else that you have to do to get yourself centered for your birth. Understanding that it's up to your body. It's a natural process that your body does automatically and is generally done without cause for concern. Obviously, there are situations where, you know, there's a bit of interventional help that's necessary, but that's generally not the rule. So understanding that it's a physiological process and your body has got this. It has got this. It was literally made to do this. Understanding that, and I mean in its entirety, will definitely help you to understand that it's not something that you have to fear. Birth is normal, just like breathing. It's normal. So my number 3 tip would be to submit to the process. Now this, by far, I think is one of the hardest things that a woman has to do, submit to the process. Because as a society in this day and age, we are so used to being in control. We're so used to having things at the click of our fingers. We're so used to things happening now. We're so used to being the ones that call the shots. But in birth, it's a different ball game. We're on a different playing field. We are not the ones in control. So we have to submit to the process. We literally have to surrender. Because, and as soon as we do that, you let go, you surrender to the process, it just takes on a whole new meaning and a whole new dimension. When you can submit to that process, when you can prepare yourself in full for your birth and your pregnancy, and then get to it, knowing that you're fully prepared, and then submitting to the process, anything that comes your way is within your grasp of handling it. And I've seen it time and time again. There are a lot of women who they'll go and they'll read all the books under the sun and attend every class and do all these things that they think they should be doing, but they're still not ready. Because when they get into that room, they're still, you know, full in their mind and full of, you know, thinking about things and calculating everything. And when I see another woman who comes, and she comes for classes and she's open and she's ready and she's willing and she finds that inner peace, when she gets to her birth and she submits to the process, it's one of the most beautiful things you can ever witness. I promise you, it's one of the most beautiful things, because when you truly submit to that birthing process, it takes on a whole new meaning and you're almost untouchable. Untouchable in the sense of not that everything goes perfectly or, you know, goes according to your birth plan, but whatever comes your way, it's within your grasp of being able to handle it. And people handle things in different ways. That's fine. But you don't feel this sense of complete out of controlness, if that even makes sense. It kind of sounds like an oxymoron, but I'm telling you, submitting to the process gives you the element of power that you can overcome anything that's coming your way. It's kind of like riding the wave. You're able to flow in any direction that it comes without it toppling you over. Because if you are rigid in your stance of exactly what you're expecting to happen, if anything else happens, it might be too much for you to bear. But if you're, you know, at a point where you are fluid and in submission, whatever comes your way, you can ride through it and get back to shore safely. So I hope, you know, you enjoyed listening to my musings for today. And if you have any points that you want to share with me, or any stories or informations or criticisms even, I'm open for listening and learning. You can email me at info@inherentbirth.com. I hope you come and share with me next time, inshallah. But for now, assalamu alaikum.